Hi everybody, this is Tina with Rehatch Designs, and I'm here with just another little craft with me. I was kind of playing around in my craft room. I cleaned some things up and I decided I'll go just turn on the camera. I did want to show you what I did last night after we kind of left. Let me get them down here. We had done these together. Let me see. We did this one, I think, together. And this is what I called my ticket snippet. And I'll link that video. And I think I had showed you this one that I had done before. But after I turned the camera off, I went ahead and did this one, which I think turned out really cute. I just kind of used a few different kind of colors. And now I made all these a little bit wider than, let's see, they were right around 2 inches. And I did that purposely because I want to be able to kind of use them like you would a cluster. Okay, so, and I made them purposely kind of botanical and kind of the same because they're going to go in the same journal. And then what I did is they were all kind of looking the same, so I made this one same size. I did it kind of on a really cool paper, but I wanted to use the floral in the background, and I used those the stickers that I was telling you about that I really like, but they're very kind of translucent, and they look like they're on kind of vellum, not super see-through, but they're thin. So I put them on the background, and then what I did is I just added some other elements as a focal point in the front. And so these look a little bit different, and I like how those turned out. These are just die cuts that I used, and then little snippets of buttons and lace and things like that. Okay, and then I wanted to show you guys these just because you can do these smaller. These are just smaller ones that I made, and it's the same concept. I just, you know, they're just smaller and thinner. And what's really cool about these is that the tape that I used covered up most of the ticket parts, so it was really just kind of stick down and go, and then after that just add a little bit more glue. Same concept. I just took my punch, and only this time, okay, so I took my whatever piece I'm using. I don't know, I think this is 1 inch. It's just about 1.25 inches. It was about 1.25 inches wide. You know, I folded it in half and then folded it in half again, so that makes them all equal. And then I just took my punch, instead of going each corner. It's a little harder because it's, you know, thicker. But I just didn't cut as much, and I kind of found a point in my punch that I could tell on the inside that when I hit it, so I could make them all kind of the same size. Let me get that kind of straightened out. Last one. Then what happens is you get something like this, okay? And, you know, and then of course this, okay, everybody, I had so many people telling me what this is. This is a tracing wheel. And remember how you used to get these where they had the different types of colored carbon paper? It's for tracing patterns. And anyway, that's what this is called. And apparently people said you can still get them. But anyway, it worked. I don't use it for that. I've never used it for that. But it makes a great perforator. So if that's what you want to do with it, I mean, I don't think they would be very expensive, so maybe when the fabric stores will open up, you can get one of those. But anyway, pretty cool. So, I mean, of course, and I said something backwards. I said using your needle, or using your sewing machine without the needle. No, using it without the thread. I have dyslexia, and it's a weird kind of thing. I actually talk backwards sometimes, or the opposite of what I'm thinking, or the opposite of what I want to say. And I do that all the time. So just bear with me. And anyway, so you can take your sewing machine without thread, and it will puncture the holes in there. But anyway, like I said, I'm lazy. And this is not styrofoam. This is like a soft foam. And I have no idea. Maybe a mouse pad. I don't know if a mouse pad would be thick enough. But you need something that has a little give. So this will work. So maybe kind of think about that. Anyway, I just wanted to show you how I made these. Same principle, you know, just smaller. And I'm telling you, this is addicting. Very addicting. I could have just kept doing these. Gosh, I mean, there's just a lot of fun. And I've seen a lot of people doing them, and I just thought I wanted to join the fun. Okay, so anyway, today I'm going to do something completely different. Just because I want to. I had seen this on Facebook too, and I kind of want to show you guys what we're going to be doing because it's really cool. It's just making different elements look like metal, and I mean, just so many uses for this. It'd be so interesting. This one I kind of made look like copper, and then this one, you know, silver, and this, nothing, you know, really earth-shattering or new, but I just thought it might be a fun thing to do. And I started doing those, and I thought, my mind just kind of went with how many things you could do with this. Okay, so let me show you kind of what I started doing. So where did it go? I keep moving these things. So this was just these little elements. Oops, where did they go? That fell. Okay, things are falling all over the place. This was just these little cutouts that I got from the dollar store, and they're meant to be stencils, and actually they work good as stencils, but I really like the negative space on that. And of course I used the J on there also, but just because I thought that would be a kind of a neat thing to use. The one thing about these is that they're thin and they're not too bulky, so if you use these in your journal, you know, they're not going to bulk it up too much. This is a little bulkier, and these are just some wooden tags that I had bought, and you know, they're wood, and I just, you know, did this on it, and then this is the J that came from there, and then this is just I'll show you what that is. Here, I'll just show you this stuff so you can see it in the raw. These are, and I bet some of you already guessed, these are just the little Formica pieces that you get from like Home Depot or Lowe's or whatever, that have the little chips on them. Now, not for granted, these are like, and you know, by themselves, you probably could do some cool things with that without even messing with it. But I just took these, and I had taken these years ago, and I never used them. So, you know, and actually I was looking at them, using them for something, but anyway, that's all that is. And what's really neat about these is they're very thin. They're super thin. So this would make a really, you know, now I put on this one a thicker letter, and I put, these are from the dollar store. Let me get this open. these are just a package from the dollar store that I got, the wood letters. And I don't even remember what I got these for. I had something in mind for them, and I don't think I ever did anything. So they were just sitting there. And then, like, these are the tags that I was telling you about. Now, they're a little bit thicker, but they're not super thick at all. But I could certainly see these maybe as part of a charm or a dangle, or maybe hanging off of a tag or something like that. And so, I mean, I don't know. I just thought that those were kind of a cool thing to have. But anyway, I did put the thicker letter on here, but it's still not too thick. And then on top, this is just a little brad that I had, and I put that on top. And of course, you wouldn't have to do that, but there's still room. You could hang it or do whatever you wanted to do with that. And then this was the thicker wood tag. And this is just one of those little Formica things. And then this was just the paper. Okay. But anyway, when I was playing with this, my mind kind of just went all over the place, thinking of all the things that you could do. And I just thought we'd do a few of them together and see how they kind of turn out, kind of as an experiment. Anyway, I will tell you that I did definitely on this Formica, you have to put something on there like gesso for it to grab whatever paint or you're going to put on there. So you definitely have to do that. And also on these slicker, I'm going to use these letters too, because eventually I'm going to spell journal out. But on these are kind of slick, so you have to paint those. So basically, if it's a slick surface, you really do have to put some gesso on there, but I am going to recommend doing it anyway, because what I noticed is it gives it a texture, and that texture really helps it look like real metal. And that's what you're trying to achieve. You don't want to look like it's painted. You want it to look like it's real metal, and that's what we're trying to go for on these, is you're trying to give it some texture. So anyway, let me show you how I did it. And let me see. First of all, I took, let's see, let's do this. Let's do a couple of these at a time so that and also I wanted to try something out. I wanted to try it. This is part of a frame die that I have that I did. And I kind of want to try it on that. I want to see how it looks. And since I'm cranking the gesso out, and then this is just part of a mixed media die, and I thought that would be cool to do on that. And then what else did I pull out? What else was I going to do? I don't know. Maybe that one. And I don't know. See, even this would be really neat, right? I mean, it's cool by itself, but I don't know. We won't do them all because it'll take forever. Oh, this could be cool. Well, I'm going to make up my mind which one we're going to do, right? Okay, so, ooh, here. Why don't we do a butterfly? See how that turns out. And I know you can cut things out of tin, but I kind of thought, now see, that would be cool, because if we make it look like metal, then you can use it as a book plate. All right, let's just try some of these things here, okay? So what I'm going to do real quick is I'm just going to go, and I'm going to go over this with gesso, just because I know you cannot, and on these you might even need to do a couple coats because it's very slick. And if you don't have gesso, I guess you could use paint, but honestly, gesso is not that expensive. It'll last a long ways, and it's different than paint. It's a little bit more translucent, and I think because of that, and it grabs quickly, and I also think I don't know, it has a different texture to it. So I don't know, I would invest in it. There's all different kinds of brands. If you haven't used it before, I wouldn't get a lot right off the bat, but you'll get addicted to it. And I use it for a lot of different things. So Oh, that was another thing on that one I did want to tell you guys. The way that I got these flowers to show up on there, because there was a pattern behind there, and you can't really see it anymore. But the way I got them to show up is I just put a little gesso in the middle. And then I kind of inked it up, made it look a little vintage, and then I put the flowers on. And so there's a lot of uses for gesso. So I would, that's just, you'll get your money's worth if you don't have it. All right, so I'm going to do that. And it might need another coat, but I'm telling you, this stuff dries really quick. It's way faster than just regular paint. Okay. And like I said, like see on this, you probably wouldn't have to do the gesso, but the thing about it is that the gesso adds texture, and the texture is a cool thing because what it does is it makes it look more like metal. I think anyway, I don't know. If anything, it adds character. Let's just say that. Okay. So let's do it on this. And this is kind of a slick paper. So it's probably better that you do that. And you may not need like 2 coats on these. But anyway. So I'm going to let that dry. And I tell you, it does dry really, really quick. So it's not something that you have to wait around for. Or if not, I mean, you can just hit it with your heat gun and it'll be done in seconds. So I'm trying to get it to stick to that well. Anyway, and I know you can use metallic papers and all that kind of stuff. And I do use them a lot, but this is kind of a whole nother thing. It has more depth. Like, see, this is a metallic paper already, but I'm telling you, it does look very different than metallic paper. And sometimes you can't always see on camera, how things look. Okay, that's the right side. Okay. Anyway, I just want to check this out to see how it looks. I figured embossed things would probably look really cool. And just do that. All right. And maybe a little bit more down there. I think I missed some. Maybe right there. Let that dry. Maybe put it over there. Okay. I think I'm going to go ahead and do this one too because I want to see how it looks. Just to see. I think I might have a use for it actually. Alright. Anyway. So let me move this over. And is this dry yet? Nope. Yeah, the Formica one's going to take the longest out of all of them. Missed a spot right there. This one I want to do both sides too because I want to make it kind of dangle a little bit. So I'm going to do the other side on that. I am. I'm going to do both sides. And this side would grab the paint because it's not slick, but I want the texture, so that's kind of why I'm doing that. Okay, now it's stuck. All right, come on. Seriously, folks, here we go. Yeah, some of it came off on there. I thought it was mostly dry, but not. That's okay. I was going to do another coating of this anyway. All right, there we go. Now I'm going to put that I want to lean it on something, so I'll put it on this little can thing here. There we go. All right. So do we need to do any, I don't know, maybe this one again. I'm going to take this with the hit this with the heat gun because it does take longer on the Formica because it's not porous. Now, if you are going to use this hanging or something, this has a tag on the back. So you may want to do the back too. I didn't on the one that I did because I think I'm going to cover it with some paper or something. But if you were going to do something where it's hanging, you may want to do both sides on that. And it's no big deal. You just do what you're doing on the front to the back. So, all right. Anyway, let's see. Does anybody need more? I don't know. That one looks pretty good. That looks pretty good. Okay, maybe this one. Before I clean off my brush. There we go. Okay, I'm going to just clean off my surface a little bit. Move that aside. I don't know. I think that'll be enough. I really do. I'm going to leave that over there. And my hands are a mess, which I'm sure they'll stay a mess, but anyway, let me move all this over. This is just my cheap alcohol solution that I always use. And you know, you can use water, but I'm telling you, this, it just works so much better for cleaning your hands, cleaning anything. And I use it all the time, all the time. And you can still get it because it's only like 50% alcohol, so people aren't buying it for hand sanitizer or anything like that. But I've always bought it at the dollar store to clean with, and it's great. It really is good for that. Okay. I have to get some stuff off my hands just because I can't work with that much on there. So anyway. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is, I don't know which one we're going to work. That's still a little wet. Let's try, is that one? Let me find some that are already dried pretty good. That looks dry, a little wet. A little wet. I think I can just blast those real quick. Let's try some of these paper things here. Okay. And let's see. I don't know. I kind of did the deboss. That's okay. It'll still work. All right. Let me just hit those real quick and make sure they're all dry. Now there's one thing I kind of thought of, and I didn't do it on the other ones, and I think I might try it just because it will seal it and give it more texture. So I'm going to try putting a little bit of Liquitex matte gel on it, and that has texture to it too. Now on these little ones it won't make any difference, but on this one it might. So I'm going to do that. And this is just a makeup brush that I bought at the dollar store, and I love using this for that. It's really soft. Anyway, let me put that on there. And I think, is that dry? Nope, not dry. Okay, so I might put it on here. It's gonna seal the gesso, and it's going to add additional texture, so we'll see how that works. Okay, so I'm going to put it on those two, and maybe I'll add it on this one too, just to see, because we're going to be rubbing this a lot, and I may put some on the top when we're done too, just to see how the finish turns out. Okay, we did that one. We didn't do that one. I'm not going to do that one because I want to see how it turns out without doing it. And I think probably it's important to do it on these just because they're slick And when you start doing all that rubbing, it may, you know, start coming off, which really is not a big deal because you just go in and add some paint to it and you can't tell. And let that dry a little bit more. I'm going to do it on this one. There we go. And this should dry very, very quickly. Okay, we're not going to do that one or that one, and we're not doing that one because we're going to work with those first, and then we're going to let those dry. Put this over here. Anyway, and I've bought this and it's lasted me quite a long time. So, like I said, I used to think, oh, this doesn't really make any difference. You can use white paint or you can do this or that. And honestly, guys, you know, it does make a bit of a difference. So, and while I'm doing this, I have another one of those wooden tags. I'll do that. I also did a puzzle piece, and I want to see how that looks. And then I have another one of these letters. I'm going to do the F. Okay, so we'll do those while we're waiting for this to dry. We'll do that while those are drying. So I'm going to do these, put those aside. And all I'm going to do, I've done different things. Now here's the thing. I have used these metallic luster, okay? And I have copper kettle. This one's silver spark. I've used black shimmer. This one really doesn't turn out black. It's more of a very dark silver. And then this one is gold rush, which I use all the time. If you watch me do things, you'll see I put tons of that on there. The other things that I used is I have this Vicky Bouton. I got stuff on top of that. This is just Creative Fix Gold Glaze, and this stuff works really good too. And so does this. I have the silver here. I think I got that at Tuesday morning or something. I don't remember exactly when, but it was not expensive. So let me wipe some of that off here. And the other thing that I used is I went through my paint, and I have just different types of brushed metal. So that's folk art. I think I had several of those. Yeah, I think I had several different brands. And I used that too, but I used it to kind of brush on there and make it just different colors to highlight and things like that. But I also tried some with just this, and I actually think it turned out pretty good. I don't think you need to invest in those others. You can get pretty much the same effect. But what I mainly use this stuff for when I was doing this is to add different texture to it and different depth. So you may want to, if you know, break out your paints and see if you have that. Okay. So anyway, I'm going to try doing some of these. And I think what I'm going to do is for this one, I'm not going to paint it or do anything first. This little butterfly, I'm going to take, let's see what color I want to make this. I think I'm going to make it gold. And I am just going to take this stuff. A little goes a long way, and I will tell you this, I've used it, and don't forget to put the lid on because it dries out really quick. So, I mean, it's very creamy in texture, but it dries out. Okay, so I'm going to take this, and you just take some, put it on your finger, and I'm going to go over it with that because I love gold, and I do that, and I'm going to go, and this stuff really looks very metallic. You can't go wrong with it. And I bought, I think I bought them all at the same time in some sort of a pack with a coupon. I don't know where I bought it, but you can get them anywhere. I know Amazon sells it. And I don't think I'm going to do both sides on this because I probably will glue that down. Okay. All right. So there's that one, and I'm going to do more to it, but okay. So maybe, let's see. Do we want to do that one gold? No. We might do that flower gold. I have a lot still left on my finger. Like I said, this stuff goes a long way. But see, the stuff on here is already dry. So you really kind of want to, you know, I mean, I've probably done things and had the top open, and so the gold is probably dried out the most because I use it the most. But just make sure that as you're using it, you have the top on there, because I'm not sure how you reconstitute it, if you use water or use, I don't know. We'll see. If y'all know, let me know, because I mean, so far it's not completely dried up, but it's drier than the other ones. So anyway, so I did that. You kind of want to get on the sides, and that's where I had a little tiny brush. This again is another one of the little makeup brushes, and you can get some of that. This stuff's kind of hard to get on the brush now because it's gotten a little drier than the other ones, but you can take that and just kind of go across the sides. And that's why I like this. It's kind of stiff and has short bristles. I mean, I'm telling you, you can get a lot of art supplies at the dollar store that are not art supplies. I mean, you can get regular stuff, art supplies, but there's just a lot of things I use that, you know, I really, and it's not because they're just at the dollar store. Just, they work well. So, okay. I mean, I'm more than willing to pay for expensive things when I need them, but some of this stuff works better than the expensive stuff. Okay, so I did the sides on that. I don't think you can see any of the white on that, so I'm not too worried about that. What else do I want to do gold? I'm going to do this. Let's see if it's dry. No, not completely dry. We're going to wait. We're going to wait. I don't think I want to do that gold. Maybe I'll do this. Let's try that. Let's try that one. Okay. So again, see, look, I'm like ready to just leave the top off as I'm doing this. And that is what dries it out. Okay, now this, I think I put the matte medium on. And so let's see here. Need a little bit more, which is kind of weird. It's not, is it not sticking as well? I wonder if the matte medium makes it not stick as well. I don't know. That might be something to consider too. Like I said, I didn't do that on the other ones, so okay. I don't know what else I want to use gold. I'm trying to get all my gold things out of my system. All right, let's see, maybe not that one. I don't want to do that one. Maybe I'll just do this little puzzle piece. Okay. Anyway, it doesn't take a lot, but it does dry really quick. So, like all this stuff that's sitting on here, it's not going to really help me out much. So, it does get under your nails, so I'll tell you that. Let me get that out. And anyway, I'm going to do more to it than just this, but in case you're just absolutely bored out of your mind right now. See, this is what makes it dry, is I do stuff and I don't put the lid on, and it does dry super quick. So okay, so I'm doing the sides on this just because you can see them. All right, anyway, so I'm doing that. I really want to do this one, but I'm going to leave it for a minute and we'll just come back to it later. Okay, so now that I've done those, they're pretty much instantly dry. So I'm going to make them look more in depth by doing other things to them. And one of the things that I did is I took Where did my little thing go? Here's my little palette thing that I got. And I'm going to use the same brush. And I took some other colors. And this is, what is this one called? This is High Hide Matte Finish. And it's a metallic. I'm just going to take a tiny bit out of there. I don't need much. And I'm going to take that. And I'm going to use it to kind of go over this a little bit in little spots. And what that does, I don't even know if you can tell, it adds a little extra depth to it. So it's not just one flat color, one color. And the stuff does already look like metal, but this stuff dries with a metallic finish also. So that kind of gives it a little bit more depth. I think I want a little bit more in there. It's not coming out super thick. I don't want a ton out of there. I only need a tiny, tiny bit. And I don't want to contaminate it, but oh, where are you going, guys? And then I'm going to take a little bit of this. This is called brushed gold. And I'm going to use that too. But first I'm going to finish doing that on this. And I kind of just brushed it on there. And that has a little bit too much. If you put too much, no big deal. But what it does is it kind of gives it a different dimension. It gives it more dimension. And I really can't tell if you guys can see that on camera. I hope you can. But anyway, and then I just take it, kind of put it around. And you can't tell right away because the stuff doesn't really dry metallic. I mean, it dries metallic and it doesn't look like that right away, but it will later. And I do that on all of them just because, believe it or not, it does make a difference when you're done. It gives it a more realistic kind of look. Plus, you can make it kind of look vintagey doing that. Vintagey, if that's a word. I don't know if vintagey is a word. I don't think it is, but I'm going to make it one. It's going to be more vintagey. Okay, so anyway, those are our gold pieces. And now I'm going to take a little bit of this lighter gold. And it's, I don't know, it's more of a champagne type gold. And I'm going to do a little bit of that too. Because again, that is going to add a little bit more. And this is kind of a stiff, short bristle. So it doesn't really, you know, you're just really kind of pouncing. And I don't want to cover everything that I did already. I'm just adding to it to give it more dimension. That's all I'm doing, okay? And that, to me, it does add a lot to it. And anyway, we're going to do more, but I'm going to set that aside for just a little bit. Let that dry a little because we're going to do some stuff to it, and it might require some rubbing it a little bit. So anyway, okay, this stuff is kind of hard to get off. I'm going to, where'd my alcohol go? Let's see if I can get it off. It's not a big deal if it's on there while you're working, but I just think you guys might be able to see what we're doing better if I get some of it off. Okay, and anyway, so let's try a few others. And I'm not going to worry about my fingers. Y'all are just going to have to live with that. Okay. Alright, I think that's dry enough. Got one little spot on the side. I'm going to just hit that with the heat gun. Maybe just hit them all. Sorry, guys. Just going to hit that. And you know, I was doing this before, and I got too close to it, and it bubbled up a little. And boy, I'll tell you, I love that. Let me see if I can get it to bubble again. Yeah, see, look. It's going to bubble. And that's great, because I think it made a really cool texture when I'm, yeah, that's great. Love it, love it, love it. Love the bubbling. Okay. And then I kind of flattened it out a little bit. That's cool. Okay, so I'm going to do this. This. Oops, stay still. Alright, and then this one. This one's still very wet. Not sure why. I'm going to see if I can get this to bubble a little bit. It just, the more texture you add to this, the more real it's going to look. I just really can't, you know, like, see, it's, I'm going to pop those bubbles and it's going to go down. There we go. Alright, and let's see, are there any others that need that? Nope, I don't think so. Okay, so anyway, I did that. Let's go ahead and do this for mica one and see, look, if you can see the bubbles. That, to me, that's a great thing. Okay, that's just a wonderful thing. So I'm going to put those aside. And then we're going to take that and let's see, I am going to do that with, I'm going to do it with the copper. Okay. Now this copper turns out, now see how this is super soft like that? That's how it's supposed to be, okay? And it doesn't take as much. So the more, and that's because I haven't used it as much and I haven't left the cover off. And I'm just saying, guys, you know, if you get some, just while as you're using it, don't do what I did and leave the cover off. Okay, see how those bubbles are just kind of, it's going to be so neat. And this stuff is really the way it's supposed to be. And honestly, guys, yeah, it's just night and day, but it's very whipped and just a completely different feel to it when you're working with it than when it starts to dry out. So anyway, I'm going to do that with the copper, which I love. And it's super bright copper right now. So, okay, so I've done that. I'm going to do a little bit. I got a few spots. Even if you miss spots, guys, don't worry about it because it'll turn out really cool. Okay, so I done that one. And I'm going to do a few more with the copper. I'm going to do this. Oop. And I think I'm going to do that. And I might do that letter. Okay, which side? Okay, this side. Make sure we do the right side. I'm going to do that. And honestly, I don't know if there... See, I'm doing it again. I'm leaving the top off. That's what makes it dry up, is that you leave the top off. See? Anyway. I mean, you have to think, if you make this metallic stuff, how many elements you could put this on. And it just adding, you know, two things. I'm just taking more on my finger. I'm not getting enough, I don't think. All right, put that on there. Anyway, so, and like I said, don't even worry if you get every little spot, because when we go back, we're going to fill in the gaps. It's going to be really cool. Okay, and then I'm going to do this last one, I think. Or maybe I won't do that with that. Maybe I'll do it a different color. Oh, see, I left the top off. I'm going to do this one. This one, because I'm going to do the journal thing, and I want them to be different. And I did the other one gold. And I can't even tell you, I love the bubbles and the texture. And if you don't like that, don't do that. But to me, that really makes it look neat. And the more texture, to me, the more realistic this ends up looking. Okay, so that's that one. And if you don't put the gesso on those slick surfaces, it just, this stuff moves all around. Even the other paints, it doesn't grab very well. So you really kind of almost have to use it. So I missed a spot here. And I got a big blob right there. Okay, so I got that. I don't know, are we going to do any other ones copper? Should we do this one copper? Let's do it. Let's just do it, okay? Because I'm loving... Wait till you get done. You're going to see, you're going to love the copper. It's such a cool look. It looks really bright right now, but we're going to tone it down. And like I did the deboss on this, which was not going to serve my purpose well, but that's okay. I could turn around and do the other side because it really doesn't need gesso. But that's okay. I'm going to do this. Gonna do it. It's going to be cool. Because it really doesn't matter, but anyway. Alright, so I got all those. Put the top on. I'll let those dry a little bit. Clean up this a little. Move that over if I can. Just so that you guys can see. Alright, get a little off my hands. This is going to take some major work later. Okay, let's see. Let's do some silver. So I think we'll do this and this and this and this and the silvers. And I'm going to do different colors. So I'm going to do that. Let's see. I'm going to do that with the lighter, that with the darker, that with the lighter. Okay. So what I did with those, I'm going to take, let me do the lighter first, okay? Let me move those out of the way. I'm going to do the light one first. And see, the silver I've used a lot, and of course I left the top off. And it's just, it still works, but it's not the same creamy a texture. It doesn't glide on as easily, so it's very usable, but still, I'm just trying to warn you. Okay, so anyway, that is the silver, and of course we're going to add stuff to it. We're not just going to put it on there like that. And I don't know if you can tell, but see how much texture is on there? That really, when we're done with this, that's important. It'll make it look very real. Okay? And I guess I didn't paint both sides of that, which I'm kind of surprised. I don't know. And let me do, I was going to do that the dark. I forgot. Okay. All right. I think I'm going to do this one the light. Got a lot of this on my fingers. All right. So we got that on there pretty good. I'm going to let that dry. And then I'm just going to pull this over before cleaning and do the dark. Now this is called black shimmer, but really it's a very kind of dark silver. And I really love it. And I usually mix it with the other silver. And you'll see why in a minute, but okay. Put that on there. I don't worry about mixing these two together because it really gives it a cool effect. Anyway, this is kind of delicate, so I have to be careful rubbing it. Alright, so we got a little extra in there. I think that's pretty good. And then I'm going to use this, get a little of this off of here. And I'm going to just go ahead and do this. And of course, you can't really see the texture on a little small. And I'm going to do the sides of this thing like that. But on this stuff, you really can see it. And when we go to distress it more and stuff, that really makes a difference. And that's what the gesso will do, and also the matte gel. Okay, so we've done that. Let me wipe it up a little bit. And then we're going to get to the fun part. Let me get my stuff up and see how much time we have going on here, guys. All right, let me go. I've got to hurry up, show you guys the finished product. So anyway, get that. I don't have any more wipes sitting here, and these are getting pretty bad. All right, so anyway, now what you do is you take all the stuff that you added I got to get a little off my hands, your paint to. So we already did the gold, and we added our extra color to it. And that we added some different metals, or different metal gold colors in there. Here, I don't know if you guys can see this because my hands are such a mess. Let me see. I've just, you never have a piece of white paper around here. Let me try that, if y'all can see what that looks like. And it does have some different texture to it, and just like that one. Okay, and then that. But how you finish those off is you would take, and this is what I did, depending on the finish you're using. Like I wanted something with more of a goldish or brownish tone to it. So I went and I just took, this is Rusty Hinge, and I took some of that and I just kind of went across it with that, and then I kind of rubbed it in a little bit, and I waited till the paint and everything was dry. I didn't, and that actually gives it more character. And then I went around the edges, okay, and I just did it right with the pad. Okay, and then, oh, see, I messed that up, so now you can't see anything again. So now, it just adds just even more depth to it. It gives it even more character. And even after I did that, then I took some of my vintage photo, because it's a little bit darker, and I went around the edges a little bit, okay? And I just added more to it, and it made it look, as I said, antique-y, okay? And then that's how that ends up looking, and it's just really a cool embellishment. You can stick that on a tag, and I don't know if you can tell from the camera. Now I'm going to do this this little puzzle piece with this on the ends, and I'm going to actually take just my vintage photo on this and pounce on it a little bit, and then and what it does is all of the different texture that you have, it kind of picks up that that vintage photo, and I hope you can see that, guys, and it gives it a really cool look rather than just flat paint, and I think it makes it look more realistic. Like I said, you can't tell with my hands. All right, so we didn't do that one. I'll do a little bit with it. Let's see. And I'm just going to use vintage photo on that one. All right, I'll put that aside. Now I'm going to do, oh, I didn't do the butterfly. Butterfly, I have to do that because that'll turn out really cool. Now on this, I'm just going to pounce on it, and you will see that it looks really cool and very metal, and that would be a really neat embellishment rather than just putting the metal paint on there. Now this is the silver. Now on the light silver, what I do is I take my black shimmer, and I take just a tiny bit, and I will take that, and I will take it, and I will take it and run it across lightly with my finger, and just hit the highlights all the way across, and just kind of get the high parts. And that's why having the texture on there is really cool, I think. And what I do then is I take a little bit on the ends and I use that little brush to get some of this other paint off of there. I'll take a little bit on the end, and it doesn't take much, and just go around the edges with it. And you do it sloppy, that's fine, okay, because you're going to see what we're going to do in a minute. And we're just going to do that and hit the edges. That's too much. Just hit the edges with it, okay. And then just kind of wipe it off and go the opposite direction. And what that's going to do is that's going to add even more highlight to it. Okay. So, oh, my hands, like I said, my hands are so bad. I do think it needs a little bit more up there. Okay, and then you can see how that looks. Then I took my gathered twigs, let this dry just a tiny bit. Where's the other silver one? I'm going to do that with that, and then that'll be dry. Get that out of the way. I took my gathered twigs, and I'll mess with that in a minute. This is some more of the black shimmer. See, I was going to leave the top off again. Y'all know y'all were yelling at me, don't leave the top off. And the idea is just to give it a different, and barely go over it. Barely, you know, just kind of highlight it a little bit. My fingers have so much stuff on it, I'm really probably putting too much, but anyway, just do that and rub it in, and the more you do it, the more it's going to look realistic. Go around the edges again. And there's, I mean, I don't know, my mind when I started doing this, and you know, I've done stuff like this before, but it's just, there's so many things that you could add this to. I mean, you could make a whole journal cover out of this if you wanted to. So I'm going to let that one dry. Now, on the dark ones, get this, guys. I bet you already know what we're going to do. We're going to take the lighter color, and we're just going to take a tiny bit of that, and we are going to skim it. Because look, I mean, even though that looks metallic, it just kind of has a flat look to it. So what I'm going to do is I take the lighter color, and I do the same thing I did with the darker color, okay? So I'm going to do that, and I'm going to go all the way across it. And honestly, guys, when you see this, it looks like galvanized metal, okay? And I hope it shows up. All right? So my little jar now looks like a galvanized metal jar, okay? So I'm going to take that, and this is the dark one, right? And I'm just going to take, just in spots, I don't want to cover the whole thing. I'm just trying to give it more depth. That's all I'm trying to do, okay? And it's harder to tell on this. But see, it does give it more depth, okay? And you can just leave it like that. I think that's enough. But then what I do, I'm going to put those aside. So here's the lighter ones that we put the darker on. And this is where I would take my darker color. This is Distress ink. You could use any darker color ink, really. This is Gathered Twig, so it has a darker tone to it. And then I take that and I just kind of go over this a little bit. And I do that, and then I rub it in. And what that does is that gives it kind of that old look. I mean, even though we've mixed our metals and we've kind of done that, what this does is it makes it look old, okay? And a little grungy, I guess. So I'm going to do it on that one. And then I rub it and blend it in a little bit. I think this needs it more on the sides a little. I don't think I put enough on there. So I'm going to go around it. Maybe do a little bit more here. Okay, I'm doing this on my paper now, and then y'all can't see it. have to see if I can find another piece of white paper. Here we go. Let's try that. Okay. So then, let me show you how that looks. So those, if you can see, after we've added our distress ink, it gives it kind of an old piece of metal look to it. And that, to me, is really neat. And we're going to do that to even the these other ones. Now I got to hurry so I can show you guys the copper, because that is the coolest out of all of them, I think. Anyway, so I'm going to do that. And all this does is make it look older, which I don't know, it just seems like that's what we're all trying to do, right? And it really does take it over the top, you know. I don't know. I did it again. I did it again, guys. Here you go. Here we go. So there it is right there. If you can look at that and see, it does add that extra old element to it. Okay, so now here's the one that I love. I don't know which one. We'll do this one. We may not have time for all of them. Okay, so on this, what I do, this takes a little bit more work, okay, but it's so worth it. What I do is I take my brush and I will get, I'm trying to remember, I found this paint is called Royal Gold, and it's kind of a yellowy gold. Okay, so I'm going to take that, I'm going to put that in here if I can get it out. Okay, and put that in there. And then I took a little bit of this, and I don't really know how to explain it. It's called Dark Patina. And this one is, it's a metal paint also, but it's kind of a greenish metal paint, okay? That's way too much in there, but I'm going to do this anyway. And I am going to take this and basically do what I did with the other ones. Only going to take it and I'm going to go over this with just a little dab here and there. Where did my sponge go? And I use this. I think my sponge is too wet. Hold on. I just kind of dabbed it. Let me get it on there. I don't want the green in there yet. And I just kind of dabbed it here and there. This is a little bit too watery, but I did that just to kind of give it, just like we did the other one, just a little bit. I'm toning down the copper just a little bit. You can also do that. Where'd my gold go? Here's my gold. Nope, that's silver. Oh, gold's down there. You can also take your gold and go back over it just a tiny bit, just to kind of give it a little bit of a tone down, because we're going to do something with this in a minute. Okay, and we're just trying to add some different depth to it. Okay, let me do that one too. And I'm just trying to hit the highlights of it and do that. And I just want it to have a little bit more color to it than just the flat copper. So I'm adding just a tiny bit here and there, especially where I can see the texture. Okay. Oop, that has too much right there. Let me do it to that one. No, I'm not gonna, I got the wrong color. I'm trying to get them all done. Let's see if I can do this. And honestly, you're probably thinking, oh, you're ruining it. I'm not. Watch what's going to happen. It's going to be really cool. Okay. Do that. Do that. I'm doing this super fast, guys, but you can take your time with it and get whatever effect you think you want and you like. Okay. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take a little bit, I think I'm going to try and use my sponge if I can. This is just a sea sponge, and I'm using just a tiny bit of it, the end of it. I'm going to try and take off most of the paint, and I'm going to kind of go like that. That's actually on too much. I got to take some of it off. Yeah, I want less than that, so I'm gonna have to go back over that probably and get rid of it on this particular piece. So I'm gonna have to pull some of that off. Okay, now this dries metallic, so, and that's what I'm trying to put this patina on here, but I don't want it to be just one color and one dimensional. And this is just pouncing on it with my sea sponge, just to give it a little here and there. And I'm going to do that with this one. And now it's actually coming off like I want it because there's less on there. Okay, and we're going to do that in different spots. Here we go. Okay, now what I want to do, let me see if that's dry enough to work with, is I'm going to take, this is another patina, and this is a darker color. It's almost black. In fact, I think you could use black. And I'm going to use that. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just going to use the same sponge and put a little bit on there. This way I might have a little bit more control. And I just want some of the darker color on there. Let's see if I can get more on there. Just, I don't want a lot. It's one up. That's going to be too much. I have to dab a bunch off. But it's a much darker color. So I'm just going to do that here and there. So I'm adding another dimension to make this look like old copper. Okay. And it looks like it has a bit of a patina, because copper will look like that. Do that here and there. And it is darker. It's kind of a very, very dark green. Put that on there a little bit more. That one is just a tiny bit. Okay. So anyway, on that one, I do that. I'll let it dry just a tiny bit. Okay, and then the last thing I do is I hit it with the black. Okay, and I'm gonna take this and I'm lightly gonna go over it, and you got to be really careful because you can get a little goes a long way. And I do it on the ends, and I'll do it on these raised portions a little bit, and I'll just kind of go over it with that a little bit, just a little. And I think, let me take some of that off. Yeah, it's got a little bit too much right here. I'm going to wipe it off. Take some of that off. Let me take some of that off. And you know, if you put too much on, guys, guess what? You can just go back over it with the copper. It's not a big deal. So I'm just going to kind of go hit that with the black. Okay. Just put a little bit more black on the ends. I don't know, this black shimmer does a lot. It really does. It just adds a whole nother dimension to these tags, and I love using it. And you kind of, on a lot of these metallics, you can't tell the full effect until they're dry. You kind of maybe want to do some and go back, and then maybe come back and do more, you know. I mean, that's kind of how I do it. I don't necessarily do it all in one sitting like we're doing. Okay, so, and I think maybe I'm going to take a little bit more copper and go back over a couple of these spots, because I think it's a little bit too much here and there. And I'm going to rub it in just to kind of not make them look too dark there. Like this one looks a little too dark right here. I'm going to go back over it. See, all I'm doing is adding more copper back on in the spots that I might have put too much. Okay, and then you have so much control, and it's really a fun thing to do. Yep, way too much there. Got to rub it in. Okay. So anyway, I do that. And on this one, I think what I did, I think I used Vintage Photo. I took some Vintage Photo and I just kind of went over the edges. And you think, gosh, after all that, do you need to do that? Yeah, I don't know. It took it to another level. That's all I got to say. It just did. I didn't think I needed it either, but after I did it, I went, wow, okay. It really did kind of it brought it up a whole nother notch. So I would definitely do that. And like I said, you can distress it to the point you like it, but to me, I really thought that it adds just a whole nother, I don't know how to explain it. You have to kind of see it to really get it. It just really, to me, looked really cool, and I don't know. All right. Anyway, I am going to let you see that one, and you guys can kind of get an idea. This is the frame that we did, and you can see all the different textures and colors in there. Here is the one other piece that we did. Here is the letter. And you can see how the bubbles and everything took the different texture. And here is the other this is the Formica. And you know what, guys? So I really had a blast doing this. It's a lot of fun. And then here's my finished ones that I did before. Now, if you wanted to, you could add a matte gel onto this. I don't think it's going to smear. I've used this stuff before and it doesn't, but you could do that. It wouldn't hurt anything. Just to get an idea of, here's the other things that we did. So, I mean, I don't know, guys. I think this stuff is a lot of fun to work with. And I mean, like, see, even this, you could just use that as a book plate and it would look like metal. Okay, right? You could use this as an embellishment on a page. So many cool things you could do with this. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed that, and I hope to see you guys again soon. And don't forget about my giveaway Fridays. You have to be a subscriber and have commented on a video during the week. And if you do that, then you are entered in my giveaway. And anyway, look at my other giveaway videos to kind of see what I give away and the rules and everything. Okay, guys, take care.